Have you ever been digging around your beer fridge and discovered a can or bottle of something you had not remembered was there? Well, that's what this special segment is all about. There are so many great beers out there, and with only a couple of times each month to share them with you, it was time to add a new segment to address this. Welcome to Beer Fridge Bonus. For this bonus session, I pulled 3 beers out of the beer fridge from Wolf's Ridge Brewing in Columbus, Ohio. These beers came from their holiday Advent pack. Of the 3, one of them is an Advent box exclusive. This is the first time I've gotten this Advent box, and thus far, I have not been disappointed. Without further delay, so Wolf's Ridge Brewing is one of those places that I always try to hit whenever I'm in Columbus. They just celebrated their 10th anniversary in 2023 and have a great venue there on North 4th Street, a tap room in the back and a restaurant in the front. They have an amazing food menu there as well. And the beer ain't so shabby either. So what I'm drinking today are 3 IPAs that were in the aforementioned Advent box. The first is IPA. The New Core American IPA, Wolf's Ridge Brewing's IPA, brewed with Simcoe, Galaxy, Mosaic, El Dorado, and Citra hops. Tropical fruit, citrus, and a touch of sticky pine. 6.2% ABV and 40 IBUs. Next up is Snow Cone. Snow Cone is a winter IPA, hazy and pale to match the season. Brewed with Mosaic, Citra, and Azacca hops, the tropical fruit aromatics in turn mimic a brightly colored snow cone, the classic frozen treat. Notes of pineapple, mango, blackberry, citrus, and pear slide you into a whiteout of hoppy tranquility. We won't say 'tis a season, because it's always the season for IPA. 6.2% ABV and 30 IBUs. And then finally, Holidays, a classic hazy IPA, brimming with tropical juicy notes. We use Amarillo, Simcoe, and Laurel hops and ferment them with Voss Kveik yeast to create a euphoric sensation for your palate. 6.8% ABV and 39 IBUs. So first of all, when I take a look at all 3 of these beers side by side, I can see that IPA is a little bit maybe clearer in color than the other ones, although not much. I see that Snow Cone is lightly hazy, and then Holidays is certainly very hazy. Color-wise, the 3 beers range from a pale gold to a deep gold. They each poured with a slight head on them. I would say that the IPA and the Snow Cone both poured pretty similar as far as the head goes. The Holidays had a little bit more of a fluffy head, and I suppose that's due to the different kind of yeast that's used in brewing that beer. Okay, so first up, the classic American IPA. So it has a malty leaning on the nose, maybe just a slight tinge of citrus on it. First sip impression? Oh yeah, this is definitely a classic American IPA. When I take that first sip, resinous pine just whacks you in the face, and the hop bitterness is right there, full force on your tongue. It's only 40 IBUs, but boy, it sure feels like a lot more bitter than that. Yeah, so it's got a nice malty backbone on it. Relatively smooth, all things considered. Now my palate has adjusted to that slightly now. It's not nearly as overwhelming as what it had been before as far as the resinous pine. But boy, that just has a great flavor. And at the end, it leaves you with a little bit of that kind of drying grapefruit peel finish on it. Again, making you want to go back in for yet another sip. And I guess I'll go ahead and do that. That's good. All right, so we're going to move on here. Next, I'm going to try the Snow Cone. This was described as having some tropical notes on the nose. So I get a little bit of that. It's not overwhelming. Okay, so this one has a little bit more of maybe an earthy feel to it. So on the nose, I'm certainly getting some of that Mosaic. Mosaic tends to come across In some ways, depending on the other hops that are used, it's a little bit more earthy, and I can sense that earthiness there on the nose. On the palate, getting a lot of hop bitterness. Gosh, I'm not really getting as much of the pineapple and the mango. I may come back to this and see how that changes a little bit. I'm slightly disappointed in that. I was expecting a little bit of a more tropical fruit salad kind of vibe. It's got a little bit more leaning toward a medium-bodied mouthfeel on it. When I look closely at it, I can see that there is material that is in the suspension, so it definitely has a little bit of viscosity there. It's not bad, but again, I was expecting just a little bit different profile. Okay, so finally, let's go in for the holidays. So this one I fully expect to hit that juiciness. So it has Amarillo and Simcoe, which I'm pretty familiar with. They both impart tropical leaning aromas. Laurel I'm not as familiar with, but I suspect that it will also have that same sort of profile. Okay, so on the nose, certainly massive, massive tropical juicy notes. This is one that I can certainly get my mind around. This is exactly what I'm expecting here. So first up impression here. So this is good. So holidays. This also has a little bit more of a light to medium mouthfeel on it. It's got a little bit of an almost spicy citrus on the front, but the flavor profile that lingers there is juicy and tropical. So this is very classic as far as a hazy IPA goes. What you see is what you get here. I'm getting the tropical notes. I'm getting juicy citrus, maybe a little bit of pineapple on it. That is so good. It also leaves me with a slightly drying effect on the mouth. It's got a nice balanced bitterness. So I definitely can get behind this beer. It's something that I'm very familiar with. It tastes familiar, has a great flavor, a great aroma. It's just a solid hazy IPA. It does leave me with a little bit more bitterness than I was expecting, but it is 39 IBUs after all. So I have three very solid IPAs here. The flagship IPA, I would give a solid 3.5 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. The snow cone leaves me a little bit to be desired, I have to say. I'd leave this one at probably a lower 3.5 tasters out of 5. It's still a solid beer. I'm just not getting the tropical notes that were listed in the description. And holidays, that's everything I would expect in a nice classic hazy IPA, so I would give that one 4 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. Overall, a great representation in their Advent box with 3 different IPA styles. Cheers, Wolf's Ridge Brewing! And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone listening. Just so you know, if you have a beer, cider, or mead that you'd like me to review here on Beer Fridge Bonus, let me know what it is by sending me a message through Instagram at 5beerplan2022 or emailing me at 5beerplan@frontier.com. If I can get my hands on it, I'll review it and give you props for suggesting it. If I can't get it and you can, perhaps you'd be willing to send a can or a bottle my way. I'm also looking for breweries who are interested in having an honest, unbiased review of their products. So if that's you, reach out today.